Ji-Ho Yu is a reporter. He went on Dodger Blue, and Jeff Spiegel did an interview with Ji-Ho Yu on Hyeseong Kim. Let's go ahead and watch it. It's about his contract and just some predictions on where he'll go because we're on Hyeseong Kim.
Yeah, you posted on social media that some folks from Korea, when Dave Roberts made that comment saying, hey, our scouts like this second baseman, that there were some people in Korea that started connecting the dots about 9 or 10 months ago.
He was offered $20 million, $25 million by the Angels. And he still chose the Dodgers because the Angels are a crappy organization. I'm sorry if there are Angels fans, but they are. Artie Moreno takes awesome players like Logan O'Hoppe and all those guys. That's an awesome name. That's funny. But really good players. Mike Trout, I think of. And he doesn't develop them well. He doesn't create a championship organization, a championship culture, a winning culture. Your stadium doesn't have a lot of cool features. And Hyeseong Kim knows that. And for all the reasons we've discussed with Roki Sasaki and all of them for coming to the Dodgers, that's why he wants to be here. Hyeseong Kim wants to win.
We'll get to the scouting report in a second. You mentioned the numbers. It's 3 years and $12.5 million guaranteed. Like you said, he could have made closer to $5 million a year over 5 years guaranteed had he signed with the Angels. Instead, he takes a 3-year deal with the Dodgers with 2 additional option years that I believe it's team option. So the Dodgers can choose to exercise, which would give him an extra $10 million if they did. All of these numbers are well below what some of the projections were for Kim. Were you surprised at how small the guaranteed number was for him compared to some of the other guys who have come over from the KBO over the last few years?
Actually, I was not. I was surprised that some of the speculative numbers were out there. They said he was going to get 3 years for $20 million guaranteed. And like, that's a lot of money for someone, who might end up being a utility guy on a good team. So no, I'm not surprised to see those numbers out there as far as 12.5 guaranteed money for 3 years.
Let's talk about the utility player piece, like the scouting report. All of us in America are kind of reading the same stuff basically. As I said, you cover sports in Seoul, so this is a guy that you're way more familiar with than any of us. We can only see the box score. What sort of scouting report would you give about Hyeseong Kim and what the Dodgers fans might be able to expect from him?
Yeah, so he spent his early years in the KBO kind of playing all over the place, right? Second base, shortstop, third base, left field, and right field. And then they turned him into the primary shortstop in 2021 after Hyeseong Kim left for the Padres. And then he had the 1 year at shortstop. Didn't have great defensive analytics, but I would say played pretty well given the circumstances. And then they turned him into their primary second baseman starting in 2022. And then he's been the second baseman since then for the last 3 years, just mostly playing second base. Only 8 games total at shortstop over the past 3 years and none this past season. So he can, he has proven, at least at KBO level, he can play many different positions. And I don't know how this is going to translate at MLB level, but obviously the Dodgers like guys that can play multiple positions, right? So they can probably stick him out there in second, kind of get him to work at corner outfield positions if there's a need out there. As far as scouting report, it's got, I don't know if you...
That's a good thing to point out, is that the Dodgers absolutely adore and want a guy who can play multiple positions. Because if, let's say, I don't know, Dave Roberts wants to rest Mookie, then he didn't play a lot of shortstop, but you could put Kim in there. You could put Edman in there. Maybe Edman at center field, he takes a break, you put Kim out there, you put him in right field, left field, right, and that's a good thing, because Mookie Betts can play right field, corner outfield, he can play second, he can play short, he can play a lot of positions, and that's what the Dodgers do like.
If you guys read the Baseball America projection or scouting report that came out recently, very speedy guy, more steals than anybody in the KBO since 2018 when he became the everyday player. I think 211 steals or something like that. Doesn't have a lot of power. I think he had 11 homers this past year and 10 of them in the first half. So, and that's his career high. And this is a very hitter-friendly environment in the KBO. So I'd be shocked if he does reach double figures in homers in MLB, even if he does play, every day. So that's not his game. But his calling card has always been his defense. With that speed, he can cover a lot of ground. He can get to the balls in the hole. He may not have the most accurate arm, but he's got a pretty good arm out there at second base. I don't know if he's a major league shortstop at a starting level, but he can probably, spell somebody, I don't know, Mookie or somebody at shortstop from, time to time. But I would say he's a better second baseman than he's a shortstop. So that's pretty much about it. And also he did win the
I'll just comment on that. I just told you, that he doesn't have the most accurate arm. I just said that he's a more speedy guy, and you heard Ji-Ho Yu say that. He's a very good reporter out there in Seoul, South Korea. And look, I think that makes a lot of sense for a guy that is very speedy, which, look, if you got a guy who can speed his ass off, speed his behind off, his butt off, and step on the gas pedal and run from first to third in a span of like 20 seconds, 20 seconds, and there's a throw coming and he can avoid double plays, he can dive, he can do all of that, woohoo! Dodgers are in for a great player and a lot of wins if that can be the case. And I think what the Dodgers are going to do is realize what his strength is, which might be second base, and his arm might not be that accurate, but you're talking about a Dodgers team that has analytics, that has trainers, that has coaching staff that are able to go, no, do this, do that, do this, do that. When they play catch, when they throw. And I think that's very important to talk about. I think that's very important to say, right? I think they'll figure it out when he gets here.
National High School Hitter of the Year in his final year in high school 2016 before he got drafted. So for what it's worth, he doesn't hit for power, but he can put the ball in play. He's got a pretty good contact ability, at least at the KBO level.
Yeah, again, I just said it. He's not a hit for power kind of like say Oscar, a Mookie, a Freddie, a Shohei, I don't know, someone like that. I guess a Muncy or whoever can come up, even a Smith. Will Smith can sometimes hit for power, and he's a catcher. You don't have to be a hit for power kind of guy. You looked at Tommy Edman. He's a bat to ball, put the ball in play kind of guy, get on base, and then run the base paths for you while you get the other power hitters to hit the ball as hard as they can, as fast as they can, as far as they can, and all you have to do is just run your little legs off, right? And Tommy Edman came in, won NLCS MVP, and won a World Series doing just that. So
one thing I wanted to ask you about, and I'll come back to his defense in a second, as I was prepping and kind of learning about him, as well as some of the other guys that have come over. When you look at KBO players, specifically the last two guys, Hyeseong Kim and Jung-Hoo Lee, who have come over, both had immense struggles offensively their rookie season. Obviously, Jung-Hoo Lee was shortened, and we've only seen one. Hyeseong Kim had a really poor rookie year offensively, but then kind of bounced back in years 2, 3, and 4 after that. And now we're talking about a guy in Hyeseong Kim, who is, I think it's fair to say, a tier below, at least 1, maybe 2 tiers below offensively than those two players were when they came over. So offensively, is there reason to believe that Hyeseong Kim can be an above average hitter at some point in the major leagues, or do you think he's kind of, you mentioned his calling card is defense and speed, and then you kind of just take whatever you get from him offensively?
Yeah, I think as far as the tiers, you compared Lee with with Hyeseong Kim. Jung-Hoo Lee was the best player in the KBO period before he left.
Yeah,
and Hyeseong Kim was the best hitting shortstop and one of the top 5, top 10 players in the KBO before he signed with the Padres. Hyeseong Kim, he's not up to the level, at least as a hitter anyway. Like I said, he doesn't hit for as much power as those two guys. And Jung-Hoo Lee wasn't even a big power hitter himself either, but Hyeseong Kim hits for even less power than his former KBO teammate. I think one common struggle with the KBO players making the jump to MLB, even the guys that came before those two, is that they had trouble handling the velocity. You're seeing, all of a sudden you go from seeing, I don't know, maybe 89, 90, 91 to an average of maybe 93, 94. And how you get to the bullpen, everybody's throwing 95 plus at least, right? So that's a big adjustment, I think. Not just the different breaking stuff, just the velocity of the pitches that they're going to be facing on a regular basis in MLB. So that takes an adjustment, I think. So
I didn't realize that. That's actually a very good point. That these guys are used to, still really high fast. I just hit my hat. Really fast balls coming to them. The high velocity, fastball, a curveball, 4-seamer, 2-seamer, a slider, a cutter, whatever. They're throwing them extremely hard and extremely fast at 80, 98, 92 miles an hour mainly. These guys are going 93 to 95, 93 to 98. And if you're in the bullpen and you're only throwing 2 innings, maybe even 1 inning, and you're just coming in for the save, you're throwing at 95 to 100, maybe even 102. Some of the guys, I've seen that from even Michael Kopech. Even we'll get to those guys. And oh man, there's a lot to talk about. So be here. Point is, like these guys, there is a huge adjustment. The ball is different. It's bigger in the MLB. It's heavier than the KBO. It's not as light. It's not going to travel as fast. And you're dealing with a lot of velocity that these guys are not used to. So, yeah, they're going to struggle. Yeah, I think Hyeseong Kim might struggle like Hyeseong Kim did, like Jung-Hoo Lee did. And there might have been all these power hitters in the KBO. And I'm not discrediting the KBO in any way, shape, or form because that is a dangerous league. The Dodgers could barely play against him in the exhibition games. It is insane. And, yeah, the Dodgers really liked him. Really liked Hyeseong Kim when they played against him in the exhibition games. But the point is that they are going to have to adjust. And that adjustment might take either a couple months, 3 months, 6 months, right? It might take a whole season, even in the postseason, to adjust and then come back and train when they have from October to March. Because right now they only have from like January to March. And that's a lot. So, and even April, it's just not enough time. So maybe it does take them a year to adjust, and they come back next year and they'll be even more amazing.
But if the Dodgers can get pretty good defense, some speed, and then I don't know if Hyeseong Kim can, I don't know, let's just say 240, 250 the first year, I think they'll be through with that number.
Yeah.
I think if they just get the speed and the defense and maybe just a little bit of power from them, awesome.
I agree. And again, partially because of what other guys have done in their first year coming over, but the more I listen to you, the more it sounds like the Dodgers have a guy on the roster, Miguel Rojas, who is a great shortstop. And prior to last season, when he was actually pretty good offensively, you sort of were like, well, he's incredible defensively at shortstop, and he's not really there for his bat. It sounds like Hyeseong Kim, there's a little bit of that to it. And maybe because he's 25, 26, by the time the season starts, you're hopeful that the Dodgers can unlock something and that there's more in the bat. But it sounds like defense, speed, offense, maybe in that order will be his strengths.
Yeah, I agree. They're not paying him the money. I mean, it's not a lot, but they're not paying him the money to be their, I don't know, like number 2 hitter or someone who can hit like 300. And I don't think he has to really worry about trying to put up the same number that he did in the KBO. He won't, right? At least not in the first season in MLB. It's probably not going to happen. So he's just got to focus on doing what he can, like play defense wherever they put him. Trying to get on base, trying to steal a few bases. Bases are bigger. The KBO also kind of followed MLB's lead in terms of enlarging the bases, kind of make it a little easier for the speed runners to steal bases. So number of steals really went up in 2024. And he's going to be in the similar conditions, I think, going into MLB if he doesn't make the roster come opening day.
Let's talk defense. Obviously, you've been great on this, and I appreciate it. And I tried to repost it. There is a Golden Glove Award in Korea that is not given to the best fielder. It's basically the most valuable player at a given position. It's typically mostly an offensive award. I believe he has won that. Only recently in the last 2 years has there been a fielding award similar to our Gold Glove in Major League Baseball. He won that both years at second base. So there's a small point of clarification. He's incredible defensively at second base, but as you pointed out, he won a Golden Glove at shortstop in 21. But that does not mean he's necessarily a valuable defender there, so to speak.
Right. I mean, in voting for the Golden Glove in the KBO, some of the defensive numbers are taken into account. Obviously, I have a vote, but we get those numbers thrown at us from the KBO. Here's what these candidates did. They give us their hitting numbers, but defensive innings at different positions, and we can look up other defensive metrics and whatnot. But if all things being equal, I think the tiebreaker in most cases is the hitting numbers.
Okay.
But with the fielding award, which KBO created in 2023, that's 100% defense. So you're gonna see winners that have just no bat at all in some other positions, right? So and Hyeseong Kim won that fielding award for 2 straight years. Basically the first 2 editions of that award in 23 and 24. So depending on what numbers you look at, he's got some pretty solid numbers. I think solid metrics at second base, a little better than at shortstop from 4 years ago. So a lot of fans here are hoping that his defense will translate to MLB. Whatever they can get from him on the offensive side of things, that'll be a bonus.
You mentioned,
and I think if he won that award and you can say the Golden Glove or that fielding award in the KBO 2 years in a row, and again, it's only been an award since 2023. Great, take those numbers and go, what can we do at second with you? Can you actually play shortstop? Because you want a Golden Glove there. If it's not shortstop, and even here in the MLB, the Dodgers can't develop him at shortstop at all, even to sub in for, say, Betts or Rojas or Edman, then okay, second base it is, because it looks like that is his game, and that's fine. Defense is his best attribute. Mookie Betts, it's offense. Freddie Freeman, it's offense. Shohei, it's, well, I don't know, both pitching and hitting. Point is, develop him where you can, put him where he's best, where you get the most value from him.
Mentioned he has played some outfield. It doesn't sound like a ton. He's played some shortstop, and he played a bunch of shortstop of 2021. To your point, and as some other people online have pointed out, maybe it didn't go awesome. But what do you believe about his potential? The Dodgers, all the sources are saying that he's going to be a super utility guy, which sounds like second base, shortstop, third base, outfield. Is the outfield, like, clearly he has the speed and the athleticism. Is the outfield, do you think, a viable place for him to become and develop into kind of a defensive asset?
Well, I guess he's got to work at it. I don't think he's played there since 2020.
Okay.
And obviously Major League parks are, they have different dimensions. They're bigger typically, right? So, so he's going to have to really work at it. But given his athleticism and his instincts, the fact that he has played it before, just not in the recent past, maybe something would come back to him. Maybe they could find ways to put him out there at corner positions if there's a need. But I think mostly they're going to look to him to play in the infield, second base, shortstop, maybe even third. But like you would know better than I do, Dodgers have a whole bunch of middle infielders, right? Like Mookie's going to play short.
Yeah.
Tommy Edman could obviously play second and short.
Yeah.
And also center field. But Miguel Rojas, you mentioned, Gavin Lux was the major primary second baseman last year for them. So Kim, with Kim, ideally he's going to kind of be like what he was in his early years in the KBO, just playing all over the place, and trying to make his contribution that way with his glove.
Yeah. One last question, I'll get you out here, and I want to say thank you for bearing with us, because I know that the time difference makes it very early, so you're doing this in a place that you normally wouldn't record. So I apologize for everybody, and thank you for being willing. Here's kind of the last question for me. When I just look at a guy that I'm not super familiar with in Hyeseong Kim, and I look at the contract that he signed, he's 25, he'll be 26, he's making about $4 million a year with 2 team option years at the end for $5 million apiece, as we pointed out. Even if it gets to 5 years of $4.4 million, we're not talking about a high paid player by Major League Baseball standards. I think the thing that a lot of Dodgers fans have been wondering, and I'm skeptical of just looking at the numbers, but you've seen him far more, is Hyeseong Kim, does he have the capacity, the capability, in your estimation, to become an everyday player for a team with the aspirations like the Dodgers? Sure, there are guys that are everyday players across Major League Baseball who might not be all that good. And good can come in different ways. It could be defense and speed and struggling with the bat. But knowing what you do about KBO guys coming over to the US and the Dodgers expectations, like, do you think this is a guy that Dodgers fans should expect 12 months from now to be penciling in as an everyday starter somewhere? Or do you think over the next 5 years, he's just going to kind of live in that utility guy who gets a spot start here at second, a spot start at shortstop, maybe a spot start in the outfield, and otherwise is kind of like a defensive or pinch running replacement late in games?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to be an everyday player on a team like the Dodgers, coming straight from the KBO. So, I mean, to answer your question, I think he's going to end up being sort of the super utility guy this coming season. I just don't see how. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't see how he could crack the lineup and become an everyday player on that team.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he could be an everyday player on a lot of other teams in MLB, right? But on this particular Dodgers team, with all the guys that they have, I just don't think that he's going to be an everyday guy. And obviously, with the money that he's making, I don't think there's any pressure on Roberts or whoever is on the dugout to make him an everyday player to kind of get their money's worth, right? So, but Kim, he could have taken more money. He could have gone to a team where he could have maybe become an everyday player, but he ultimately chose to go with the Dodgers. They're defending champions, and I don't know, he might end up winning a ring in his first year in MLB, so we'll see. So again, I don't think he's going to be an everyday player with the Dodgers, at least not right away. But he could be that sort of utility guy who can play all over the field, especially in the infield.
One other thing, quick question I meant to ask you earlier, and I'm just realizing now.
I wouldn't be angry if he was the super utility guy. Miguel Rojas is kind of that. Zach McKinstry comes to mind, and I adored him. He was the Zach of all trades, the Zach attack kind of likable guy, and he was in 2021. It's cool if he is a utility man, someone who can pinch run, someone who can pinch hit. Maybe, for example, Mike Conforto might not be a great runner. Michael Conforto, maybe Sorota's not, but you get a guy who can run the base pads for him, or maybe Freeman can run, but you'd rather someone who can run at lightning speed or at light speed. You're gonna put him in the bottom of the 9th inning, 1 on base, 1 out, or 2 on base, 2 out, ready to run for you. And you replace whoever's on base with him so that he can run from second to third to home in a flash, in a matter of a daylight second. So
I have it. This is a number that I haven't been able to find. Do you have any sense about, from the offensive side, versus lefties versus righties? Like, is he dramatically better against right-handed pitching compared to left-handed pitching, or is he sort of a neutral splits guy?
Oh, I can look that up. Hang on. So he throws right, he bats left. Okay. So in 2024, he batted .318 against the righties and .303 against lefties.
Okay.
It's not bad, right?
Yeah.
Actually, and then he had, kind of 19 for 38 against the submarine guys. All of them are righties. So just about the same numbers last year, at least, as far as the lefty righty. So, but again, this is a very hitter-friendly league, so it doesn't mean he's going to be able to do the same in MLB. So I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to KBO guys, not just Kim, but all the KBO guys jumping over to MLB as far as making the adjustments against that I mentioned earlier, develop high velo stuff. But it's going to come with time.
I agree. I think that he might actually be able to hit for all those numbers and for power and all that against those pitchers. But again, higher velocity, harder hit, harder thrown balls, higher thrown balls, heavier, bigger, not lighter, bigger ballpark. Depends, especially for how you hit the ball and which position you can hit it at in which direction. I think it's going to be different. And I do see him maybe being a utility guy for now, and then maybe next year he's a starter, because he's not needed to be an everyday starter. He can take his time. He can develop. He can learn, grow, develop, and change up his style and his groove and his control and all that, and his mechanics and his command when on the bases and on the and in the batter's box. I know I kind of threw some pitching terms out there, but you get the point. I think he could be a starting piece now, or they could wait. Who knows? The Dodgers have enough pieces. And I think that's one of the reasons he chose the Dodgers, is because he could take his time to adjust to the MLB.